Hey guys, welcome back. Have you ever wanted to get your subject pin sharp on a long exposure? Well, it's actually easier than you might think. See, I wanted to get a picture of my fiance in front of the waterfall, but nobody can stand perfectly still. You'll always get a little bit of movement, a little bit of sway, and that can make a blurry photo. Let's jump over to the waterfall and take a couple photos.
So really for a shot like this, you're gonna want an ND filter, but if the light's low enough, you won't really need to. So essentially what I'm shooting at right now, the light's really pretty right now, so I'm gonna take a quick photo. But basically I have my settings to f22, 0.4 seconds, and ISO 100. But make sure you're on a tripod, make sure you're locked off, and you have a 2-second timer on, so that way you have no vibration in your photo. So when you take the photo, you should get a crisp, clear photo. Now I'm gonna just quickly switch my settings. So to have my subject really sharp, I'm gonna have my settings set to F4, ISO 100, and shutter speed 1/1500. So that should create a really sharp image of my subject standing there. And then we're gonna hop over into Photoshop and we're just gonna blend the two photos together. Essentially what we're doing is we're having a long exposure and then we're gonna comp a non-long exposure over top of that. Because if you try to shoot your subject while you're shooting a long exposure, you're gonna have to stand incredibly still, but that won't actually work because they'll be blurred out and moving around. Take a couple shots. All right, now that we have our shots, let's jump into Lightroom and Photoshop.
So now that we have our long exposure and our one photo shot for sharpness, let's combine those in Photoshop. Now I'm going to be going to Photoshop from Lightroom, and I'll show you how to do that. So here in Lightroom, I just want to pick the one photo that I think is the best. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to go edit in Adobe Photoshop. I have the beta, but it'll probably just say Adobe Photoshop for you. Now that I've loaded up both of these photos, I have them on different windows. I have my long exposure here, and then I have my subject here. Now, one thing that you normally can do is you can just hit select subject and it'll select your subject. In this case, it selects the whole waterfall, so there's not enough contrast between the two subjects. So what else you can do is Control Z to undo that. Just come over here, hold it down, go to Object Selection Tool, and then hover that over, and that should make a pretty clean cutout of your subject. You might have to do a little bit of tweaking, but then just hit the mask section. Now that you have your image cleaned up a little bit, you can just put it back to Smart Object, and then just Command C to copy this layer, and then you go over to your waterfall, and then you just Command V to paste, and I'm just going to try to line this up with where it was before, probably right about there. And then you can play around with the placement and just see how it is, and then all you have to do is go up and hit save, and then it'll pop back into Lightroom, or you can do everything in Camera Raw filter in Photoshop, but I prefer to work out of Lightroom. And in Lightroom you can just blend the layers together seamlessly, mask off wherever you need to mask, and then you can blend it and have a photo that looks like this. Pretty quick, pretty easy. If you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. I'd love to see you guys back here hanging out. Have a good one.